This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. When your house is on fire, every second counts. Minutes can mean the difference between life and death in some cases. But what if there's no help nearby available to respond? It's a problem the Firefighters Union is flagging, saying they're frustrated and fuming over a system it says is failing Winnipeggers. CBC's Mike Arsenault reports.
Holy!
St. Vital residents could only watch as a massive fire engulfed a house on Southwalk Bay. Mick Kolteski and his family live in the area. They heard a loud bang around dinner time and went to see what it was.
Saw the blaze just going full bore. The garage started, it looks like, in the garage, and it was just, you could feel the heat from across the street.
Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service says when crews arrived, the house was already up in flames, so they protected nearby homes, and some were evacuated as a precaution.
The United Firefighters of Winnipeg say there were no fire trucks available at Station 26, which is just a few minutes from here. It says crews had to be dispatched from other stations, some as far as 20 minutes away.
Data published in 2021 show Winnipeg's average response time for fire calls was double the national standard. Union President Nick Casper says the city spent more than $10 million on overtime for firefighters. He says the service needs more staff and more trucks on the street.
You know, I can appreciate the perspective. We're the labor group. Of course, the union wants more. The truth of the matter is it's not just the union. It's the union saying this. It's the public service recommending it. It's the city's own audit department.
Councillor for St. Norbert-Sienne River, Marcus Chambers, says additional resources have been worked into this year's budget.
We did add 24 additional firefighters to the complement, as well as, I believe it was 2 pieces of apparatus. So more firefighters have been added, as well as equipment for their use.
Chambers says if response times get worse, the city will look at more solutions. Kolteski would like to see more coverage in his neighborhood.
We have a station 5 minutes away that's under-equipped, unfortunately, that, you know, if their one engine's out, what do we do for this community? It's a fair size. So I think it's a concern.
WFPS believe the house will be a total loss. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A veteran police officer accused of a number of charges will stay locked up for at least another 2 weeks. A scheduled bail hearing for Constable Elston Bostock was pushed back this morning. Details cannot be disclosed because of a publication ban. Bostock was rearrested last week. The 48-year-old is accused of taking part in at least 80 drug deals. Along with drug trafficking, he's also facing more than a dozen charges, including breach of trust, theft, and indignity to human remains after he allegedly took a picture of a dead woman and sent it to another officer. He's due back in court on August 25th. The province will start sending out essential checks by mail again. It comes months after it paused deliveries due to a possible Canada Post strike. But that delay left one Winnipeg senior stressed and frustrated, waiting for hundreds of dollars needed to cover the cost of life-saving equipment. CBC's Gavin Axelrod reports.
Evelyn Kenny uses this supplemental oxygen tank around the clock to help her breathe. The 90-year-old pays $435 up front every month, then later gets a rebate check by mail from the province. But that didn't happen recently with a check she was expecting.
I phoned and they said you have to go down to Carlton Street and pick it up. They will not be mailed. Well, I said, this is rather ridiculous. I said, one arm of the government is telling me not to go out, and you're telling me to go downtown.
Kenny doesn't drive. She's also been avoiding the outdoors because of poor air quality from wildfire smoke. Her son drove from Gimli twice to try and get the check, but he was told it wasn't ready.
I'm 90 years old. I'm using a walker and my oxygen. I don't know what they expect from a 90-year-old. It puts a lot of stress on me for the simple reason I'm on a fixed income. I'm not suffering, but I'm not loaded and like that I have to watch my money. It's not cheap.
As of June 2nd, essential mail for those who don't receive direct deposit would be directed to distribution centers for pickup instead because of a possible Canada Post strike. This was also done when Canada Post went on strike last year. We reached out to the province and were told mail delivery was being restarted Monday because a strike doesn't appear to be imminent. Kenny also got some good news Monday. She says her check was delivered to her by courier.
It's taught me a valuable lesson to always check and make sure you're getting your money. Just don't take it for granted that your check is going to be there.
And she hopes she doesn't have to go through this again. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Manitoba Nurses Union says its members' safety is not being taken seriously. It comes after the province's largest hospital was grey-listed on Friday, a first since 2007. The status change comes following growing safety concerns that includes reports of 2 nurses at Health Sciences Centre who were sexually assaulted, one in a tunnel and another on their way to the parkade. The vote came from 94% of nurses at HSC, who will now discourage other nurses from accepting jobs there until they see significant changes. The unions say working conditions have been on the decline at that hospital for some time.
Despite talking to the government and having many discussions with the employer, we don't feel like this employer is going to provide a safe workplace or a safe place to receive care. So as a result of that, nurses felt they had no option.
This is the nurses union's second attempt at flagging the centre. They voted in favour of grey-listing the hospital back in 2020, but nothing came of it. The last time a hospital was grey-listed in Winnipeg was back in 2007. Canada's Defence Minister is expected to meet military members at an Army base in Winnipeg this week. David McGuinty is set to visit the Canadian Forces Base on Tuesday afternoon. It was recently announced that military personnel will be getting pay increases ranging from 8 to 20% retroactive till April. It's part of Ottawa's plan to significantly increase military spending at a time when the forces are seeing low recruitment and retention rates. One Manitoba group says people living in some of the city's lowest income neighbourhoods are having to get creative when it comes to staying cool this summer. Many are struggling to make ends meet, and when temperatures soar, some bills get paid at the expense of others. CBC's Zubina Ahmed reports.
Patrick Michaelishan has been living in his house at the West End for 8 years. He says every year he faces a significant increase in his energy bills.
All my bills, my water bill, the hydro bill, internet, everything's just getting more and more expensive, and people have been spending a lot less. I'm self-employed, and so it's really been noticeable. I've cut down on keeping my air conditioning on. It's mostly off until it hits plus 26 in the house.
Michaelishan says sometimes he pays his energy bills in installments or when his disconnection notice comes.
Every time I get my bills, I look at how much my expenditures are a month just on living and maintaining a house.
A new survey by Manitoba Eco Network reveals that many residents like Michaelishan are struggling with energy poverty. That's when individuals spend a major portion of the income on high energy bills or can't access adequate heating or cooling services. Saoirse Moore-Peters is projects manager with the Eco Network. She says of the 142 people who took the survey, over 85% said they are affected by extreme outdoor temperatures.
What we heard from people here is that West Enders are struggling to pay their energy bills. They're worried about their health during hot weather.
Moore-Peters says the Eco Network has submitted policy recommendations to the city and the province. One of them calls on both governments to put in place cooling standards that limit indoor heat temperatures to 26 degrees Celsius.
Whether that's policy that directly affects landlords and needing them to make sure that those rental units have cooling systems installed, or keeping those cooling systems updated, keeping them running, and then keeping those temperatures safe for their renters. For homeowners, it looks like being able to update their homes to have efficient cooling systems in them.
Meanwhile, for Michaelishan, the extreme outdoor temperatures have led him to come up with his own solutions.
I just bought a new dehumidifier for upstairs that I empty about 3 times a day.
Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Riley Laychuk in now. Riley, this week's reprieve from heat going to be welcome news to many people.
Yeah, and a cooler day today, Brittany, and we're actually looking at temperatures cooler as we get even into Tuesday. So Couple days of a bit of a break from the heat and the humidity. 23 degrees in the city this afternoon. 21s, 22s in the west, where we've seen a cold front pushing through. And as this cold front pushes across southern Manitoba, triggering some thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorm warning in place for the southeast corner of the province into northwestern Ontario. This particular storm, with a history of producing up to ping pong ball-sized hail, some heavy rain and some damaging winds as well. And also watching some of that push into Westman as we get into the evening hours here. So there's this pretty broad risk of thunderstorms or some showers across the province as this front pushes off into Ontario. That has a severe thunderstorm watch in place for much of southern Manitoba. Air quality warnings, of course, in place for much of the north as well. We are looking at a return to that poor air quality in the south again as we head into the day on Tuesday, Brittany, with the air quality health index up at a 9. And yes, a cooler day on the way for your Tuesday. I'll be back in a bit.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Welcoming the world, how homestay families are helping host a record number of international students. We'll have more on that after the break. As universities struggle with a significant decline in international student enrollment, the province's largest school division is getting ready to welcome a record number. As CBC's Felicia Adam reports, enrollment at the Winnipeg School Division's International Study Program has doubled.
This was her 16th birthday.
From new experiences to milestone moments, these photos bring back happy memories of Giuseppina Militano.
Oh, there she is in Gimli. I forgot about that picture. She looks lovely there. She loved Gimli. It was a wonderful experience for her, I think, and for us.
They're snapshots of her and international students she's welcomed into her home since 2022. This year, she's getting ready to host a 15-year-old from Spain.
This is where the student would stay, lots of space for them and closet space, and yeah, you want to make it feel like home.
Militano's family is one of 90 homestay families working with the Winnipeg School Division to welcome a record number of international students.
We've probably gone from about 70-ish students to just over 180 students now.
Aaron Venerosh is the head of recruitment for the program. He says students are coming from 24 countries, starting from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. They will have to pay a tuition fee of $12,500, and while some stay with relatives, a majority live with local families.
If it weren't for the families hosting international students, we wouldn't have international students in our schools. We need a place for them to live, so they're critical.
Benarosh isn't too surprised by the uptake in international students. In fact, he says the city's affordability, diversity, and even its weather are all attractive. But he is seeing something a bit different this year. Students who are planning on studying in the U.S. are changing their plans.
Parents themselves are starting to become hesitant because of the political culture that's kind of developed. I know for many of my meetings with agencies, it's definitely a concern.
Unlike international students wanting to study in Canadian universities, there isn't a cap on the number of public school students. Benarosh says it's become a multi-million-dollar source of revenue for the division.
And even though this year will be record-breaking, the school division is looking to bump that number even higher come next year.
It's a really wonderful experience, it really is. It's great for the families and it's great for the students.
Militano is looking forward to hosting students for as long as she can. Felicia Adam, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Dozens of loved ones gathered at a North Kildonan church to celebrate the life of a missing Winnipeg senior. A memorial service for Earl Moberg was held over the weekend. He was last seen leaving his home in River East community in December 2023. He was 81 at the time and had dementia. His wife shared stories of Earl and remembers him as kind-hearted and a great teacher.
Good that they're, that we did this service to let people know that he's not found yet. When I told people that we're having this service, they immediately said, "Oh, he's found," and I said, "No, he's not found yet." But the family wants to have some closure to do this.
Moberg's family started a Canada-wide petition for a national silver alert system. They want to see push notifications on phones when a senior goes missing. A new photo exhibit explores what health and wellness looks like to young Inuit in Winnipeg. Participants told their stories through artwork and photography, but one researcher says young Inuit in the city need more support. CBC's Ostin Shebakiget has more.
Life through their eyes. 15 young Inuit shared what life looks like to them as part of a photo project. Keith Cook took a picture of red dresses at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. The 17-year-old says it's important for him to remember missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
It helps to take the weight off your back, to tell other people about yourself.
Luke Amatou took a picture of the Red River. He says walks by the water are important for his health, but it also reminds the 16-year-old of the MMIWG crisis.
I was kind of emotional at first when I heard other people's stories.
Could you relate though?
Yeah.
What did you relate to?
Losing a person.
Luke says the project taught him the importance of family and how to listen to people. The project comes at a critical time after Tungasugit Inuit Resource Center's main funding source for youth programming was cut. It provides support and activities for young people while Inuit communities deal with the highest suicide rates in the country. Caramello Swan is the center's youth manager. She says the photo project offered an outlet for any pain they might be carrying.
Watching it all
come together with this project has been very healing, but also heartbreaking. G. Van Tour led the project. She says it shows young Inuit have a hard time transitioning to life in the city, and that they need support to navigate intergenerational trauma and encouragement to keep up in school.
There's still a lot that needs to be done to support these kids in the city, and I feel that they're not getting enough attention from policy and from government.
Tour's hope is that the project draws attention to young Inuit in Canada and helps them create healthier futures. Austin Shebekigit, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Riley's back in now, and I don't want to say it, but we are in the last few weeks of summer here. We've had those very high highs, and now we're back to more seasonal, even below seasonal temperatures, way more comfortable for some people.
Exactly, yeah. Even in parts of northern Manitoba, Brittany, looking at temperatures in the teens, for example. So a bit of a cooler start to the week after a bit of an unsettled weekend. I'm going to start with some rainfall totals. This is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Doesn't include what's fallen today in thunderstorms. This takes us to the end of yesterday, and you can see a pretty wide spread of rainfall. In Winnipeg, for example, 14 to 29 millimeters, depending on where you were in the city. But as expected, some pretty impressive totals into the Parkland, into the Swan Valley. Ethelbert, for example, recording 104 millimeters, just 8 millimeters in the Paw, and 19 in Norway House. So some of that rain centered into the Parkland, while we did get some thunderstorms and some brief periods of showers here in the south throughout the weekend as well. So we've got this trough that's formed in the jet stream, upper low here with a cold front, and a little bit of lift in this has triggered some thunderstorms as this passes off into northwestern Ontario. So do expect as we get through the evening tonight that we will see some of this unsettled activity, and this all the way back into northern Saskatchewan still. So there's a little bit more yet to come as we get through the overnight hours, but as this cold front passes, you're really going to feel it because temperatures, particularly as we get into the day on Tuesday, will really be pulled back to even 10 degrees below seasonal in some cases for parts of northern Manitoba as we get through the day on Tuesday. Behind that, some extra cloud cover. Weak trough tries to maybe introduce a little bit of extra cloud cover through the afternoon, and maybe a few scattered showers even into southern Manitoba as we get through the later part of the day on Tuesday. Then high pressure tries to set in here and clear us out a little bit as we get through the day on Wednesday, but then you see this next low start to push in, and this will trigger another round of precipitation for central and northern parts of the province, particularly into northern Saskatchewan, northern Manitoba as we get through the day Thursday and into Friday. I know a couple days out from this yet, but what this is looking like is the potential for even up to 20 millimeters of rain in some parts of northern Manitoba as we get through the day Thursday and into Friday. Again, some of these numbers will change as we get through the next couple of days, but that just kind of gives you an idea of where we're looking at some of that accumulation happening. So we have seen our winds shift a little bit, which is helping with the air quality into the evening hours. But as that low passes and we get back into some northwesterly winds, expect that air quality health index to be enhanced again as we get Tuesday before we start to get a little bit more relief into Wednesday again. So we are looking at that air quality going up and down as we get through the next couple of days. Temperatures, Brittany, tomorrow much cooler, 20 in Winnipeg, and looking at 13s into Lynn Lake and Thompson for the day on Tuesday.
All right. Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, our countries may not always agree. People from both sides of the border came together over the weekend to shake it out. We'll explain in our Daily Lift.
Well, tracking some scattered thunderstorms as we get into the evening hours. Brandon, you probably felt that one as it moved through the city over the last half hour or so, but I have been keeping my eye on this one as it pushes into northwestern Ontario. This line of thunderstorms, the potential for some hail with that, some very strong winds and some heavy rain into some of those thunderstorms as well as we get through the evening. Maybe a good night for Jasper to stay in tonight, although you know what, that pup cone looks really good. You can send your pictures. I could use some more to talk back at cbc.ca. Maybe a couple of scattered showers as we get through the afternoon tomorrow. A bit breezy out of the northwest, 20 gusting to 40. And then in the long range, a bit cooler Tuesday, Wednesday, 22 degrees, a bit of a bump into Thursday, and temperatures very stable into the weekend. Well, rain or shine, the border handshake at the International Peace Garden brought Canadians and Americans together over the weekend in a show of friendship.
It's an event meant to help heal growing political tensions between the two countries. CBC's Chelsea Kemp has our daily lift.
A little rain didn't dampen any spirits at the Canadian-United States border Saturday, where hundreds still gathered to mark the unity between the two nations with a symbolic handshake.
We want to model that we can get along and tell our elected officials that we'd like them to model after us.
Love needs to permeate everything that is about our existence and our lives and the way we work with people.
The handshake across the border kicked off the Peace Garden's annual summer floral celebration. The garden, which straddles the Manitoba and North Dakota border, serves as a living symbol of the enduring friendship between Canada and the U.S. Thousands of visitors from both countries stop in every summer.
It's one thing to see what we do on TV and in social media all the time. It's another thing to get in front of people and remember how valuable interpersonal, in-person connections are.
Just good to see that people are responding to. They know what's going on. No one's talked to me at all about that today, the political situation, but they're here shaking hands and they're meaning it, which is great.
I think it's a powerful statement from all of us.
Chelsea Kemp, CBC News, Canadian Border Boys of A.
I love it because it's less about politics, more about being polite.
Exactly, and being friends.
Something we know a little bit about here in Canada.
So many people showing up despite the rain too, which is nice to see.
Right? Well, can't damper our spirits.
Nope, not
Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Stay dry.
Am I going to get rained on when I go?